Hello, my name is Juan Antonio Lozada, and I am an attorney in the United States. I focus on immigration law and corporate law. I have a lot of experience in litigation. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about what your U.S. immigration options are as an entrepreneur, as an investor, whether you're in tech, whether you're in real estate. That's what we're going to be discussing today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself before I start dwelling into the topic that we're going to be covering today. I was actually born and raised in South America. I came to the U.S. when I was about 20. Most of my legal studies, or all my legal studies, were completed here in the U.S. I graduated from the Ohio State University Law School in 2004 and took the bar exam in Texas. I passed it in 2004 and became licensed in November. So I have been licensed since then. And for the last 8 years, I have been running my own immigration practice out of Miami, Florida, and also with a significant presence in Austin, Texas. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about what your U.S. immigration options are as an entrepreneur, as an investor, whether you're in tech, whether you're in real estate. That's what we're going to be discussing today. So I am going to start by explaining one of the main differences between the two types of visa. You have the immigrant visa and the non-immigrant visas. And I think it's important to distinguish between these two because clearly, depending on what your goals are as an entrepreneur, whether you want to live in the United States full time or whether you actually just want to be able to enter the U.S. legal market and engage in activities that actually create value for you, generate income for you, then again, which one of the two types of visa and the decision you're going to be making could have significant consequences over, your tax situation, over, how you structure a company in the United States. And I think it's crucial that you start thinking about these issues. Not having an immigrant visa that actually gives you an ability to remain in the United States and become a legal permanent resident may or may not be a good idea for every investor. Every factual scenario will present a different set of challenges. And again, it has a lot to do with what you're looking for in terms of your journey towards doing business in the United States. So let's start with the most common immigrant visa that we find, and it's the National Interest Waiver, EB2, okay? Employment-based 2 visa. National Interest Waiver means that you're exempted from the requirement that normally U.S. federal government gives for EB2 applicants. You do not need a sponsor and you do not need labor certification. So pretty much no job offer, no labor certification. Normally you need to have an advanced degree or you need to show somehow that you have exceptional abilities in your area of expertise. It is in the national interest for you to be exempted from having to apply for labor certification. So again, you are normally self-petitioning in a national interest waiver. If you are granted the I-140, then you will be able to apply for a green card, come to the United States. The time where you're going to be waiting for this visa will depend. If you pay for premium processing, so you pay extra for your application to be resolved, or adjudicated quicker, then certainly you are going to get an answer in about 45 days from your I-140, and then it will be about a year and something before you're actually able to immigrate to the United States. So again, this EB2 NIW is mostly designed for those entrepreneurs that want to live in the U.S., potentially have a U.S. citizenship later on, 5 years later. So that is if you want to bring your kids that are younger than 21 and not married, your spouse, they all will be able to come to the United States, live, and become residents and eventually citizens if you actually choose this option. The other visa is the L visa. Now, this is mostly for foreign employees that want to do an intra-company transfer The L visa application normally is temporary. It's for temporary transfers of personnel that normally are, in the management, upper management of your company, where they have a significant technical expertise. Again, these are temporary visas. They're not designed to, they are not meant for people that want to immigrate to the United States. You got to have an intent to return that employee back to their home base, because that is an important requirement of this visa. So again, it is very important that you understand that those are the limitations. Now, with the E2 visa, okay, another non-immigrant visa where you will not need to be coming to the United States or transferring to the United States, but instead you're actually starting a venture. You're actually putting some of your capital on the line, and depending on which country you come from, whether you come from Chile or Peru or Colombia, all those countries actually have, Italy, Spain, those countries all have bilateral treaties with the United States that allow for the E2 visa. Normally, you have to make a significant investment, a substantial investment, and how much that investment is will really depend on the type of business you're trying to run. If you are in heavy manufacturing, the investment is going to have to be greater than if you're in consulting, for example. There is no minimum, but normally businesses that start with an investment of more or less than $100,000 have very limited chances of success. Well, the higher the amount you're willing to invest, the greater the chances that you will be successful on an E2 visa. E2 visas, again, are non-immigrant visas. You normally go to the embassy or consulate of the U.S. abroad to get your visa, stamp in your passport so you can come back and forth. You have to work exclusively on your business. You cannot work for someone else, but your wife will get a work permit, or your spouse will get a work permit that they will be able to use to work whatever they choose. Now, you are limited in terms of your ability to work in the U.S. to just the business that you are starting or setting up with some partners. And this is very important because you will not have a blanket work permit to work anywhere you choose. So that might be a limitation. Just like the L, you're only supposed to be in the U.S. working on the venture that either transfer you with an L or that you started with someone else here in the U.S. That is your exclusive that's the only place where you're actually able to work. So it's very, very important you keep that in mind. Again, we are going to talk about the Parole for international entrepreneurs, which is the last visa I want to cover today. This is really not a visa. It's a program that was started by the Obama administration that if you're able to attract $250,000 or more, you will be able to, in some instances, apply for a parole valid for 2.5 years that will allow you to remain in the United States working on a new business that you started and is less than 5 years old. You gotta have, again, you gotta own the business. Up to 3 shareholders can benefit from one company, and you have to own at least 10% of the business. This is very, very important, and you have to be willing to start the program. You need to attract $250,000. That doesn't mean that all the money needs to come from you, but it does mean that you need to attract at least $250,000 of investment, and again, retain at least 10% of the shares of that company, that new venture. You need to demonstrate significant public benefit. And again, the initial period of stay in the U.S. to work on that venture will be 2.5 years, with the possibility of extending for another 2.5 years, again, assuming that you can justify that to the U.S. government. There are many visas available. The EB5 is an example of a visa that will require a significant investment of $1.8 million normally, depending on where you want to live. But the bottom line is this. These are the main visas that I see in my practice. These are the visas that may probably work for most entrepreneurs. So I wanted to make sure that I cover those first. And then if you have any questions, we are always able to cover those during the appointment. It is important to have that one-on-one appointment because I need to understand, again, the basis of what type of endeavor you are hoping to engage in the United States. Based on that, we're able to come and draft or create, brainstorm, exactly kind of what is the future endeavor that you plan to advance while in the United States. Immigration law is not extremely complicated, but it certainly requires an understanding of what is it that you need to prove, what is it that you need to show. And normally, if you do everything by the book, you normally are going to have pretty high levels of success, assuming, again, you're not cutting corners. So, again, my name is Juan Lozada. I'm not only a lawyer, I am a business owner. I have owned my own business. I own several businesses, but I have owned my own legal business for about 8 years. I love business and the law. I am pursuing at this time an executive MBA at the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. I have attended the general management program at Wharton University. I've attended probably 4 or 5 different business programs, accelerators at Stanford. So I understand business and I understand what the needs of the tech entrepreneurs normally are. So I am very happy to sit with you in preparation for that appointment. What I would advise is to ensure that you come prepared. Bring your CV, bring your business plan, submit those in advance. Start really thinking about what is it that you want to accomplish during your time in the United States, what visa, immigrant or non-immigrant, you think might be more suitable for you. And then we can, have a significant amount of the appointment invested on trying to figure out what is the best way to get you to what your goals are. Again, my name is Juan Antonio. I love to speak about immigration, and I'm looking forward to a meeting with you soon. Take care and have a great one. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.